Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? I am tired tonight. And I laid down for a little bit. It is 3:26 a.m. My husband was still up when I left. He was watching Netflix and one episode after another. He's like, just one more episode, just one more episode. So I was like, I'm gonna go vlog and then I'm gonna come home and go to bed. I am tired tonight. I had a good day today. I got up and I went and got my coffee and I did a review at Starbucks today. And then, that's over on my review channel. It's the Jack's. Now people were telling me that I mispronounced it. Skellington? Like, skeleton? I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember the movie, The Nightmare Before Christmas, but look at my hair. It looked cute earlier, but now it's, from The Nightmare Before Christmas, but that was the review that I did. And then, what did I do after that? Oh, I just had some errands I had to run, and then I came home and I didn't even realize it till later. I thought I had, you know what I just realized? I filmed a BookTube vlog today and I forgot to even upload it. Well, I guess I'll do that tomorrow. I filmed like it was like 20 minutes of me driving, talking about books. So I did that. I like went through all of my audio books that I have and which ones I should read next and all this kind of stuff. Oh, my friend told me to look up this book called The Chain tonight. And then I filmed my videos and I was uploading them and I filmed my reaction to the Shane Dawson trailer. That's what I did on for my Peter Mon channel. And then Alex was coming home, so I hung out with him for a little bit, and then I had to get ready. Went and picked up Tanya, and we went to our meeting tonight. It was really a great meeting tonight, and we talked about sponsorship. And so my meeting that I go to, my home group meeting on Tuesday nights, we split up into groups, 4 groups. And so the group that I was sitting in tonight, Tanya was in it too. We sat outside. So it was a beautiful evening. It was kind of fun. There was only like 8 of us in the group, and we sat outside on these picnic tables and talked. It was just really nice. It kind of reminded me of back in the day, this other meeting that we used to go to, where we would sit outside. There's a lot of places that have meetings outside still, or meetings on the beach. There's like this recovery magazine, and in it, there's like all of these pictures of, I have like an eyelash that's like stuck in my eye. But there's these pictures they always put every month in of like all these different meetings from around the world, and there'll be like, you know, one on the beach in Hawaii. It's like a 6 a.m. meeting on Sundays, and it'll be called like Near the End of the Earth meeting or something like that. Meetings always kind of have funny names to them. My very first home group was called, well, what was my very first home group meeting? The meeting I was talking about the other night, I don't know when I talked about it, when I stopped going to it because nobody else was there. That meeting doesn't exist anymore, and it was called Surrender to Win. And I always thought that was kind of a cool name for a meeting, Surrender to Win. And then when I first got sober, I got sober in a different program, and I went to, I don't think these meetings exist anymore. I went to a meeting called Just Got Paid, that was on Friday nights, and then my other home group meeting was called Hope in the Hood, and that was a really great meeting. And those meetings don't exist anymore, I don't think. wonder if they do. I miss those meetings. I know a lot of the people that used to go to those meetings are no longer sober or have passed. You know, for as many friends as I talk about that I've had that have passed from overdoses and things, I've also had tons of friends of mine that passed when they were sober. You know, that is my camera out of focus. That got sober and then they passed sober. And, you know, like my mom, for example. I mean, she wasn't my friend, obviously. She was my mother. But do you know what I mean? Like, got sober, stayed sober, and then when they died, they were still sober. I've had a lot of friends like that. I hope that's me. You know, I hope I stay sober till the end. I've asked myself that before, like, if I knew I was on a limited amount of time, you know, would it make me want to, like, go out and have a drink and be like, I'm not going to be, you know what I mean? Like, but I think at this point, I don't think it would. I don't do this as much as I used to do. I would say, you know, around 10 years, I did this a lot, where I would play, like, games in my head, like, if this happened, or if this happened, would I drink or drug again, if this happened, you know? It's weird, like, the closer that we get to legalization of marijuana, the less I think about it. I mean, I know I talked about it on here in a video the other day, but I mean, the less I think about how it would affect me personally as a person in recovery. But when we started seeing, like, you know, people getting their medical cards, you know, in California and Colorado and stuff, where they could use it medicinally, and you would see, like, hear about cannabis shops opening in Colorado and stuff like that. When that first started happening, I mean, it was very much, like, this is where the addict in me comes out. There was a jealousy inside of me of not being able to go and participate in that, and that I wanted to know what that was like, and I wanted to know what it, you know, I was like, oh, I want to go in a cannabis shop and see what it's like, but I have no business being there, right? Not that I couldn't go in and just walk around and see what it's like and walk out. I think I could do that, but why do I have the need to do that is the question, you know, just out of curiosity, just out of interest, whatever. And like I say, like, on here, I just want people to know I can only share my personal experience, strength, and hope, right? So for me, when I smoked pot, I smoked all day, every day. I know there are people out there that are different than that, so do your thing. But for me, I can't really use anything that is habit forming whatsoever, because that's kind of how I am, and that goes into, you know, with all substances, it's like that. People ask a lot about, you know, I haven't really talked about this on here, so people ask a lot about, like, the casino. Like, it seems like every once in a while I'll get, like, a comment on my vlogs when I talk about having gone to the casino to meet, you know, Valerie or whatever, and people will say, aren't you exchanging one addiction for another, and things like that. And I think this is important for me to address, because I want people to understand this, and there are going to be those people out there that are going to forever judge me and say I'm making excuses, but it's my life and it's my personal choice, so I have to do for me what I have to do. That is a topic that I have discussed at length with my sponsor. I am accountable to her when I go to the casino. She knows when I go, so that any pattern of behavior. But for me, after having inventoried it, I don't feel like it's an issue. I take a certain amount of money, I go, I leave when it's gone. I don't have remorse. I don't have emotions that are consistent with, you know, my past addiction. I can go twice in a week or not for a month and I'm fine. There's no, like, regularity to me. I don't have the cravings that I had with my addiction and things like that before. And I've really taken a close look at it. If my sponsor said to me tomorrow, I don't want you ever walking into a casino again, I wouldn't go to a casino. And I think that's something that people, sometimes when they say that, they don't understand how seriously I do take sobriety. Things that my sponsor suggests to me, I do. Especially when it's on that level, I take very, very seriously. And if she said to me, I'm really concerned about this, I don't want you going anymore, I wouldn't go. Or if she said, I'm really concerned about this, I'm suggesting that you not go, I wouldn't go anymore. But that has not been said to me. And I have a pretty hard-ass sponsor, you know, and we've actually taken a look specifically at that. I take a look at anything that, you know, is habit-forming in my life, whether it be food, which we've looked at a ton, you know, and we've really looked at the underlying issues that are there for me and why I eat emotionally, and you know, that why my eating is addictive in nature, and how my patterns are consistent. And that really is the way that I eat, and the way that I crave food, and the way that I look at food is very, very similar to how I was with drugs and alcohol, or how my mind still thinks. There's not really ever, like, this is the thing, like, when you're in recovery, it's not like it just goes away. Like, you, like, put the drug down and you flip a switch and it's gone. Like, well, I can, like I said, I can only speak for myself, but for myself and most of the people that I know that are sober, that doesn't really go away, which is why you have tools like things like meetings and, what do you call it? Sponsors, working a 12-step program, you know, spirituality, things like that. Those are all tools, service, to keep you from you and picking up, you know, and, I think I didn't, like, one of the questions I get from people a lot that are not sober on YouTube and not on YouTube, like, I get emails about this sometimes about family members and stuff. Like, people will say, you know, you're 24 and a half years sober, which seems baffling to me. I'm actually, it's been longer than that now. But they'll say, it's surreal to me because I just never thought that would be the case. Like, if you had told me when I first got sober, you'll be sober 24, you know, years and 9 months, I would have been like, you're crazy, that's never going to happen. I couldn't even visualize being sober 2 years, let alone 24 years. But, like, people will say to me, why do you need to still go to meetings? Like, do you still, like, have daily cravings and things like that? And I don't. But emotional sobriety is what I get by my interactions with other people, by, you know, my giving back. Like, we were talking a lot tonight about, like, sponsorship, and then Tanya and I were talking about it on the way home and stuff like that. And sponsorship, you know, whether it's you working with your sponsor or sponsoring somebody else, is a way to get out of selfishness and self-centeredness, right? That you're helping somebody else, or you're working with another alcoholic or addict, whether it's they're working with you or you're working with them, you're getting out of self, right? And so it's a way to get out of selfishness. Well, selfishness is a part of, when you don't have emotional sobriety, it's rooted in selfishness and self-centeredness. So it's a way to get out of that. Well, when you think about it, like, yes, selfishness and self-centeredness has a lot to do, you know, it's the root of the addiction, but at the same time, you can be sober for 50 years and still be a selfish person, right? If you're not doing the work. I don't want to be that. So for me to not be that, I have to continue to do the work. On one side, I have over here friends of mine, you know, that were sober, let's say, how long was one of my friends sober? 21, almost 22 years. And she went back out, you know, and the reality was she was that close to a drink and didn't realize it because she wasn't doing the things that we've been taught to do for a long time. And I don't want that to be my story. I don't want to go back out. It makes me sad. I miss her, you know? And, I don't know what's best for her. I'm not God. But for me, like, I have to do everything I can and put everything in the way of that happening to me. And from me picking up, you know, and really what we say is that we only have a daily reprieve from this addiction. And So that's why I continue to do that. It's also because, you know, it's kind of like, so let's say from January to June, you go to the gym because you want to get beach body ready, right? And so then June, July, and August, you have beach body and you're maybe going to the gym instead of every day, you're going 2 days a week, right? And you're keeping your body up. But then in August, you stop going to the gym, right? Because summer's over, you don't need your bikini body anymore or whatever. And then what happens after that? Well, your body goes back to what it was before, to some degree, right? And, or, you know, you can start putting on weight, losing muscle mass and stuff. But what about the person that continues to go to the gym year round? I'm such the one to speak about this, by the way. But what about the person that continues to go to the gym year round? Like, they maintain that level of their body, right? So they don't have to start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, because they've maintained that. Well, that's a lot of what sobriety is like, you know what I mean? I wanted to look up this book. Hold on a second. Is this true? Hold on a second. No. Hold on a second. Yeah, none of those meetings that I went to when I got sober still exist. That's sad. Those were great meetings. Okay, what's the book? The Chain. Oh, I pulled up Fleetwood Mac's The Chain, which is one of the greatest songs ever. Oh, I saw this actually on Audible. Okay, so she told me this was really, really good. Let's pull up the Goodreads. This should be on my, what do you call it? My booktube vlog, but we're gonna read it on here tonight. This is what it looks like, The Chain. You just dropped off, I think I read this already. I read the synopsis for this already. You just dropped off your child at the bus stop. A panicked stranger calls your phone. Your child has been kidnapped, and the stranger explains that their child has also been kidnapped by a completely different stranger. The only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child within 24 hours. Your child will be released only when the next victim's parents kidnap yet another child. And most importantly, the stranger explains, if you don't kidnap a child, or if the next parents don't kidnap a child, your child will be murdered. You are now part of the chain. She said it was really, really good. She said she couldn't put it down. And I got a friend request from somebody on Goodreads, so accept that. I love Goodreads so much. If you don't know what Goodreads is like an app for books. And when you go through, it's like on your feed. Here, let me show you. On your feed, it's like Facebook, but people just like put what books they're reading and update it. So you can literally go through here and just see like which books like look good for you, and then you'll see like somebody's reading. Let me find a book that everybody knows. Oh, here it is. This person's reading Lock Every Door, and they're on page 244 of 384. This is one of my friends on Goodreads. And let me find another book. So like this book looks interesting. It's called Hello Girls, that somebody's reading. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna hit it and I'm gonna find out what this book is about. The the cover looks interesting to me. It's two girls' heads and they have sunglasses on. And you can see when it came out in 2019, August 6th. It's 320 pages, and it is by Brittany Cavallaro, a poet, fiction writer, and an old school Sherlockian. She is a New York Times bestselling author of the Charlotte Holmes novels. Oh my God, those are supposed to be so good. Did you guys hear about those? About this girl named Charlotte that went, I think those are the ones, let's see, that went to the boarding school. Yeah, it must be, because she said she was a Sherlock Holmes person. Yeah, the case, okay, so the first one is called A Study in Charlotte. And then The Last of August. I actually have those at home and I haven't read them. So this is Hello Girls. Let's see what this is about. Best friends are forged by fire. For Winona Olson and Lucille Price, that fire happened the night they met outside the police station, both deciding whether to turn their families in. Winona has been starving for life in the seemingly perfect home that she shares with her seemingly perfect father, celebrity weatherman Stormy Olson. No one knows that he locks the pantry door to control her eating and leaves bruises where no one can see them. Lucille has been suffocating beneath the needs of her mother and her drug-dealing brother, wondering if there's more out there for her than disappearing waitress tips and generations of barely getting by. One harrowing night, Winona and Lucille realize they can't wait until graduation to start their new lives. They need out. Now all they need is $3,000 fast, and really, a stolen convertible to take them from Michigan to Las Vegas can't hurt. Oh my God, that sounds so good. Ugh. I just screenshot that. I'm gonna get that book. So see, this is why I love it so much. Somebody's reading Pet Sematary, Shatter Me. A lot of people tell me to read that book. In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. Perks of Being a Wallflower, Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Becoming by Michelle Obama. Alice Hoffman, The World That We Knew. Small Spaces. I read that book last Halloween. It was actually pretty good. It was like a middle grade book. Frankly in Love. The publisher sent me that book. So yeah, so anyway, if you've never been on Goodreads before, that's what Goodreads is about. You know, I think about a lot. I wanted to read through some of my comments. I was going to say something about the early days of sobriety, but oh my God, it's so funny because I was just talking about Ruth Ware and I said something about mascara, and B on here said, I don't even share mascara with my good Judy, because I was talking about the Ruth Ware book, The Woman in Cabin 10, and she like borrows the girl next to her's mascara, and I was like, when I read that, I was like, that doesn't happen. Okay. I haven't really gotten a whole lot of questions. I was reading these earlier. Oh, Donna. I actually downloaded that song tonight. There was a girl. Richie Valens right there. And Donna was her name. Ba-da-da-da. I had to stop and get some water. Oh, it's gonna stop. Hold on a second. I had to stop and get some water. Show and tell. Because I don't have my bottle of water with me, but I do have my coffee cup. So when I got sober, I went to several different programs. But the main program that I went to when I got sober was Cocaine Anonymous. I'm not really sure why I picked that. At the time, Cocaine Anonymous was really active in Indianapolis. But I felt most at home there. But I ended up getting a sponsor in another program. And so I changed. And I stopped going to Cocaine Anonymous. I know a lot of people go to several different programs at the same time. That just didn't work for me. I tried it, and I felt like I needed to just be in one program. But hey, to each his own. Do your thing. I know a lot of people that will like go to a Heroin Anonymous meeting and then like a AA meeting and whatnot, you know, like, whatever works for you, I think, as long as, you know, you're staying sober. Tanya and I got kind of a little sad tonight talking about all the people we've lost. What is in the middle of the road? It's like a big cardboard box. You know, we've gone to this meeting for so long now that it's consistently the same core 20 people that have been going to this meeting, you know, for 20 years, and 20, 30 people, and, you know, some go away during the summer and come back during the winter and then are here, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of retired people that aren't, you know, here always the whole year, so when they're here, they come. But there's been quite a few people, too, that through the years, you know, we got really, really close with, and they just are not, that's just not their life anymore, you know? They chose a different path, and it's hard, I think, you know, I think it's hard for me, like we were talking about this sometimes, like for me sometimes, you know, many of us are people that are adult children of alcoholics or addicts, or we come from homes where there were extended family that had addicts or alcoholics, right? And if you come from a home environment like that, like I did with my mother, then you'll relate to what I'm about to say. No matter how much that person loved you, no matter how much they unconditionally loved you and cared about you and said the words, I love you. You know, my mother was extremely affectionate towards me. She loved me. She hugged me. She kissed me. I know my mother loved me. I know that she did the best that she could do with her active addiction at the time. The reality is, it felt to me that her addiction was a priority when I was growing up. It's hard because when you're a kid, you don't really understand, you know, that this is a sickness, and that I'm not making excuses. Like, I'm not saying that, like, as you become an adult, you make excuses for these people. I'm not saying that, or for myself, for that matter. I'm just saying that, you know, as you get older, you realize that sometimes, you know, the addiction is more powerful than the person until they're ready to do something about it. Which is why I feel so blessed to have had the sober years that I had with my mom, you know? But at the time that she was heavily drinking, I felt like I was not the priority. I mean, I didn't realize, I couldn't put words to it at the time. That wasn't until years and years later that I was able to put the words to it. But I felt like I was secondary to her drinking. And what I mean by that is, you know, I would call her from my dad's house or from a friend's house and she would be drunk. Like, I felt like she was picking drinking over me. When I would come home and, you know, she would be drunk, it felt like that. It felt like she cared more about drinking than she did about me. And I think that that's, you know, us trying to make sense of it. And that's not necessarily a childish thing. I think, you know, even with adults, like, adults still say, you know, like, I have people that say to me all the time, well, you know, if my sister, like, these are friends of mine that know I've been sober for 24 years, will say, if my sister loved us enough and loved my mom and dad enough and loved me enough, then she would quit drinking. And I'm like, listen, if love were enough, there wouldn't be addicts and alcoholics actively using out there. That's just, you can't think that way. You just can't. Well, I know, but, like, you know, if they really loved us, they would do that. And I even struggle with that sometimes, too, because I think, like, you know, this is the thing, okay? You can't take somebody out there in the middle of their drunk or the middle of their use and say to them, now, do this because you really love your family or you really love your kids, right? While they're in the middle of it. But give them 5 days sober and remove them from the environment, and then say, can you do this for your kids? Can you do this for your spouse? Can you do this for your family? And a clear mind and body, then they have the ability to make that choice, if that makes sense. But that person has to have a couple days sober. We don't think that way when we're out there actively using. And I'm here to tell you, as an addict and an alcoholic that hurt a lot of people with my use, it was never intentional to hurt somebody. I never went into it and thought, well, I'm going to piss my dad off, or I'm going to really show my mom, or screw my friends, or any of that kind of stuff, right? It was never that. It was, I want them off my back. I mean, if anything, that's what it was. I wish they would just leave me alone. Like, you know. You know, I remember my dad used to say to me, your drinking is a problem. And I would say, no, you have a problem with my drinking. My drinking's not a problem. Like, that's what I would say. And my dad at the time did not have the language or the verbiage to be able to communicate to me, I'm scared for you. It hurts me to see you do this to yourself. You know, when I was finally able to get into treatment and I was in a safe environment, he then was able to go there with that language, you know? He looked at me in the middle of a family group session. We were all sitting in a circle, and my dad and I had to have a family session to get out of treatment. My dad came in and he sat right across from me, facing me, and he looked at me. My dad had a suit and tie on. I'll never forget it. He would not talk to me while I was in treatment. He was so angry at me, and you know, anger is a secondary emotion of fear, hurt, and pain. And I had to have a family session to get out of treatment. And at that point, like, I had gotten real honest with myself and stuff, but you know, my dad hadn't seen that change occur in there. And that was just the beginning, you know? And so I called him up and I said, I need to have a family session, and I'm not calling mom because she was drinking, you know? And I said, and he had already told her not to take my calls anyway. And I said, will you come in and do this family session? And he came in. And I remember we were in the middle of this family session, you know, and it was like, it was family group, and then they put us in the middle, and my dad could say anything he wanted to say to me, and I just had to sit there and listen. And my dad looked at me, and like, just like a tear, like, ran down his face, and he looked at me, and he stood up, and he goes, you're pissing your life away, and you don't even realize it. And he got up, and he goes, you wanted a family session to get out of treatment? There's your family session. And he walked out. My father had, I think, maybe 0.000000001% faith that I would stay sober. And let me tell you something, you know, I think often we believe that we have to support our family members 100% and love them and believe in them. I had burnt that support like nobody's business, okay? That was literally like a piece of newspaper. The support I had built, I had burnt it away like a piece of newspaper in a fireplace. I'm telling you right now, I didn't have any support when I got out. My financial support, that was it. Thank God. I don't know what I would do, you know? And, you know, in all honesty, I look back on that and I think, well, I would have done it. Like, if I had to, if I really wanted it bad enough, I would have done it. If my dad would have said, I'm done. I'm not helping you out. Period. End of story. I'm not financially helping you. I'm not going to, you know, whatever. I would have had the ability to do it. Would I have? I don't know. And I think that was some of his fear of cutting me off financially. Because I think that, you know, I mean, he was ready to do that when I went into treatment. But I think when I came to him and I said, I need some time, you know, like, because we sat down with an addictionologist at the hospital and I had to go through this contract, and I had had these behavior contracts before, you know, that do this, don't do this, be out at this time, should call your sponsor every day, do this kind of stuff. I had had all these contracts before, right? These behavior contracts are very, like a lot of treatment programs have them. And I said, where do I sign this? And my dad looked at me and he goes, you don't sign it. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, you follow it, or you leave your keys in the apartment and your car, like, well, I didn't have a car at that point. He was like, you follow it, or you leave your keys in the apartment and leave. I don't want anything to do with you if you're not going to follow it. He was pissed. My dad was done. Like, he was done. I really, you know what is interesting is I never really have asked him. So every year on my sobriety birthday, I call my dad and I thank him for my education and I thank him for my treatment. He saved my life. My dad single-handedly saved my life. And didn't have to. And, you know, we always have a really neat talk on my sobriety birthday, you know. And he's not quick to let me forget what it was like for him. You know, he's somebody that will remind me even 24 and a half years later what it was like, you know. And that's okay. And that's okay because I did that to him, you know. I had this conversation with my dad probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And we were talking on the phone and I said, you know, Dad, I said, every once in a while, I get these comments about people are under the assumption that I have some huge trust fund that I live under with my father. That is such a fat joke, but whatever. That's not the case. And I've actually shared on here that my dad and I had a conversation that he was gonna, you know, I think when I was after I got my second sponsor, so that I wasn't gonna take any more money from him because our relationship was built on financial security and money. But I am indebted to him for paying for my treatment and my education and for, you know, my first 9 months of sobriety until I started working in that May. But I think he supported me financially and helped me out until like that August, September, when I was back in school. And that was when I was working full time before that, but, I said to him, I said, you know, you never, like, asked me about this or about that, and I can't remember how I said it, but, like, I hear friends of mine, like, they'll have conversations with their parents, even our age, where they'll be like, you know, are you okay on money? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I said, you know, Dad, I said, you never really asked me questions like that, you know, like, and he goes, you gave me the greatest gift that I never expected in my life. And I said, well, what is that? And he said, I go to sleep at night with, you know, I don't worry anymore about you. I don't worry if you're okay, you know? You're married to somebody that I love, and, you know, your stepmother and I both love Alex, and, you know, you financially support yourselves, and you're happy in life, you're contributing to the world in a positive way. And he said, you gave that to me. I never thought there would be a time that I would be able to say, you know, back when you were out there using and I was worried, is he dead? Is he in jail? Where's he at tonight? You know, my dad worried about that every single night until, I don't even think it stopped when I got sober. I think for the first 2 years, he didn't even really believe I was, you know, and, you know, he said, when I was growing up, you know, people would come up to me and they'd be like, oh, your father is, you know, so-and-so, and, you know, oh my God, he's so great, he did this for me and whatever. And he said, do you know that I have people that come up to me and say that about you now? And he said, I'm so proud of you. I don't have to worry about you anymore, and you have given that to me. I go to sleep at night and I don't worry about you. And I know you're gonna be okay. And he goes, I did my job. And he goes, and you did yours. And that was kind of a turning point for my dad and I, you know, that we were able to have this just, like, I was, like, finally, I had become a man in my dad's eyes to some degree, you know, like, he didn't have to worry about me anymore, you know? When it hadn't been like that when I was growing up. So, I don't know. I think, you know, my dad had said to me one time years before that he had kind of, at some point, accepted that I was going to be that adult kid that he would just have to, like, at 30 and 40, always be rescuing out of treatment programs. Like, he's like, I honestly thought that would be you in your life. Like, I would be getting you out of this treatment program and that place, and you'd be calling me and begging me for just $100. And he was like, you know, I can't believe that. If you had told me at that time, like, that will not be true at some point, I would never, you know, he was like I said earlier, like, I wouldn't have believed I had 24 and a half years. He's like, I wouldn't have believed that this is what our life looks like today. So I don't know. I wasn't, you know, when I got sober, I didn't want it. I wasn't sure I was going to stick around. Which is so crazy to me, you know? I remember leaving, like, meetings in early sobriety when it was, like, snowing outside, and I had this, like, big winter coat that had cigarette burns in it, and my dad had dry cleaned for me. And, I still have it in the basement. I'm sure that's a real shocker to people. But I can remember, like, coming, you know, out of meetings and, like, feeling so alive, you know, and it's been snowing outside, and it was so cold, and, you know, going home and making a pot of coffee and getting in my pajamas and reading or watching a little bit of a movie, or, you know, so homey, felt so safe. It was so funny because, like, Tanya tonight, sometimes where we have the meeting, like, they're holding, like, a meeting at, like, it's in a church. They're holding a meeting at this, like, church, right? And, so we sometimes have to have it at this, like, other building that's, like, on the property. And that's where it was tonight. And Tanya was like, she was like, I just, like, stopped at the gas station. She's like, I want to get a fountain pop. So she got a fountain pop at the gas station. And so we were on the way there, and she was like, I hope they have coffee over there. I was really wanting meeting coffee. There's, like, something to be said for a cup of coffee at a meeting, you know? Like, just even the simplicity in that. I sometimes wonder why me, you know? Tanya and I were talking about that, and she said, what'd she say on the way home? How'd she say it? We were talking about, like, why we did what we were told, you know? Like, why are we here? Like, and some people didn't make it. And I was resistant to some things. I mean, I didn't do everything I was told, but the big things I did. And, you know, like, go to meetings, go to my aftercare at the time, you know, call my sponsor every day, work steps, do this, do that. I mean, those things I did do, right? Not pick up. And I said to her, I said, like, I don't know why. And she said, well, I know why. She said, for me, she said, I didn't want to die, and I was willing to do what anybody would tell me to do so that I didn't end up dying. And I really think that's it. Like, I really believe I have this, you know, awareness, this moment of clarity where I was like, dude, you're going to end up dead. Like, seriously. You are ingesting more substances in your body that is, like, normal. Like, for an addict, normal, you know? Like, I mean, I was like, okay, So I was getting up and I was drinking, you know, in the morning. It would depend. I mean, my drinking, what I drank and all that kind of stuff varied, but I was drinking, you know, like vodka, and if I had like a horrible hangover, or the jitters, which are like, you know, delirium tremors or whatever, I would mix Pepto-Bismol with vodka and I would drink that sometimes. But typically I would get up and I would drink 40s. I loved 40s, like Colt 45, Old English, things like that. I loved 40s. They were cheap and they got you drunk quick. And I literally would wake up 22 and a half, you guys. I mean, I look back on that, I'm like just baffled, you know? And then I would like take 2 Vicodin, smoke a joint, shower, start getting ready for the day, and then I would drink throughout the afternoon. You know, I was drinking a 1.5 fifths of Jack Daniels a day, plus 40s, plus beer, plus shots that I would do when I went out, plus anything. I mean, I don't even remember the extra. That was just what I was drinking during a day. And I know that because I would go and I would buy 2 bottles of Jack. I don't even know how I afforded this back then, because I just didn't have that much money. But I would buy 2 bottles of Jack, and then I would have a half a bottle for the next day, and you know, like this next day I would buy another one, and then that would be what I drank. But I always made sure I had some for the next day that I got up. And I'm telling you, those days that I got up that I didn't have any alcohol in that house were pure hell. If I would wake up and I didn't have any alcohol, I'd be like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? You know, like I gotta go to the liquor store really quick. And you know, sometimes I would wake up, and back in the day, Indiana, liquor stores didn't open until 11 a.m. And so I would wake up at like 8 o'clock and I'd just be like shaking. It just was so horrible, you know? I used to vomit. My friend and I, my old roommate, she and I used to make ourselves vomit so we could drink more. We would get the alcohol out of our system so we could get drunk again. And that's really sick. Think about that, you know? I'd eat just about any kind of pill that anybody would give me. And you know, the last year and a half, I did, cocaine was one of my major drugs of choice. I snorted it and I smoked crack, and I put myself in some really scary situations. Stopped again. But yeah, I put myself in some really scary situations, you know? I don't know if I told this story on here before. I think I have the whole story of it, but like, I had this dealer that thought it was funny to mess with me in front of his friends, and he would do shit like make me give a blowjob to a loaded gun, and I did it. And think about that. Think about what could have happened as a result of that. I did not even think twice about it. I look at that and I think sometimes, like, you know, I want to talk about the bullying and I want to talk about what other people did to me, but look at what I did to myself. That's just one situation. Oh my God, if I told you some of the places that I slept, some of the houses that I woke up in, and didn't care, and literally did not care. And the self-loathing was so thick that I thought, you deserve this. This is what you got. You're a piece of crap. You deserve this, you know? I don't believe that today. I don't believe that about myself today, and I don't believe that about myself then. But then I believe that about myself. If that, you know, if you can follow that. Like, you couldn't convince me otherwise. I think that's why when people come in and they've, you know, are just getting sober, that they look so defeated and full of shame and guilt. When shame and guilt are purposeless emotions that do absolutely nothing for us. They don't help us in the least. I got on this vlog tonight and I was like, I'm going to talk about happy stuff. I'm going to talk about happy stories tonight. And I ended up telling this whole story about all these, I don't know. I'm full of, like, when I leave meetings, I'm always, like, you know, full of gratitude, and especially that meeting, because I grew up in that meeting, you know, I was taught how to be a person of character in that meeting, and when I didn't want to come back, they begged me to come back, and, you know, they held my hand when I walked back in, and they never made me feel less than. And I've cried my eyes out there, and I've shared my soul, and I've told them myself about how I feel on a daily basis when I'm down and I'm shitty and I'm pissed off. I come in there and I say I'm down and I'm shitty and I'm pissed off, and they don't look at me, you know, like I'm any different than anybody else, and they share the same. And, you know, when I leave that meeting, sometimes I feel just so full of love and emotion, and it's all about living out loud, I think, you know. Weird. I'm like, in my head, I'm like going through like the faces of people that I've like known, that like now I'm like, I wonder where they are. You know, some people come in for a couple months and you get to know them real well, and then you just don't ever see them again, you know. And some of them make them, you know, make their way back in and find their way back in. And I was actually, this is like, we're gonna swing topics now, but I finished watching Paris is Burning. I kind of was watching it in parts when I was eating, like over a period of like 3 days. And I was reading all these articles about Jenny Livingston, the documentarian, and that filmed Poe, or did I say Poe? It's Paris is Burning is what I was talking about. That she filmed Paris is Burning. And it came out in 91, and I was thinking about that. Like, I think I may have talked about this on here, but like, I remember going to see it. And I remember how much it impacted me at the time. And, you know, so I was reading all these articles, and like, where is the cast of the people that were in it now? And like, all of them are dead. Like, all of them are gone. I had been reading some articles a while ago, too. I did this like a month or two ago as well. But I was reading more extensive articles. I literally read like 3 or 4 articles that were like interviews with Jenny Livingston. And that was like on the 25th reunion. So what would that have been? 2016, I think? 17? 16? I can't do math. I really can't do math. But, it was interesting, you know, hearing about these people and how the aftermath of that documentary affected them, and what that life was like for them, you know, outside of just being in this documentary and things like that. And I wish I could take you guys with me for a day in my life. Like, truly show you what a day in my life looks like. When I have service commitments and going to a meeting and the wonderful people that are my friends that have never been on a vlog, and you could see truly what a life of recovery looks like, because I can't do that. You know what I mean? I can't show those pieces of it. But I wish I could. I wish I could show all of it. But I can't. It's like such an amazing life. You can't really explain it unless you're in it and you're living it. And the thing is that you know, year 1 is different than 30 days, is different than year 5, is different than year 2.5, is different than year 24.5, is different than year 30, I'm sure, is different than year 10, right? So it's like amazing changes over the period of time, right? Like, it's never the same. It just continues to change and change and change. And, you know, it's also not like this continuously awesome just life day after day, you know? I mean, it's like, it's really just it's a design for living, as it says in the text, you know, that it's a way to live your life. But it doesn't mean that when you get sober, everything's going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of crap that comes your way. I think that maybe that's one of the things that saved my ass. You know, is that I never expected when I got sober that things were going to be perfect. But I do think that I've known a lot of people that like expected that everything in their life was going to be fixed exactly how they wanted it to look. You know, and I think that when you realize that that's not necessarily the case, or that, yeah, I fixed my relationship with my dad, but maybe it took longer than I thought it was going to take, or maybe I fixed my relationship with my dad, but it will forever be scarred in certain ways. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it changed the relationship, you know, like the relationship I have with my dad today is maybe not the relationship that I would have had with him had we never gone through this. For better or for worse, who knows, right? Like, maybe it's different. Maybe we talk about things that we would never have talked about. You know, like with my mom, I never would have had the relationship that I had with her had we not both got sober. So, you know, that's, when I look at that, I think, I mean, that's such a blessing, right? I think had she not gotten sober, when she passed, I would have a lot of resentment and anger. I really, really do, you know? As healthy as I try to be today, I think that I would be really pissed that I never got to really have that relationship with my mom that I looked for. Her getting sober gave that gift to me, you know? And I think that I gave that gift to her as well in return. So it's not that things get perfect, you know, it's not that at all. It's that we have a design for living. We have tools to use today. We have skills, you know, we have support network. We have ways to get out of ourselves when we're being selfish. We have ways to evaluate and inventory things when we really don't know what our part is in it or what to do with something. And then when we figure out what our part is in something, we know how to make amends for that and how to turn it into something right. And we know how to, you know, do all these things so that we can have the best life possible. That's really about as deep as it is. I'm dying for a Diet Coke. I have this water over here, but I gotta get a Diet Coke. We say that every night. You know what I mean? So, I mean, in a weird way, it's kind of like, what if somebody handed you a handbook and said, for whatever happens in your life, follow this handbook and it'll tell you what to do. That's kind of what it's like, in a weird way. But sometimes you have to decipher the handbook. Sometimes you don't know what page to go to. Sometimes you don't know how to figure things out. And that's where a sponsor comes in. A sponsor says, well, you need to do this, this, and this, or read this, this, and this. You know what I mean? And so there's kind of, let's see if I can find any change down here. 1 quarter. Ooh, I have some quarters. 2, and that's a nickel. This car has been in front of me forever. Up there, they moved.
Good morning, I'm doing full breakfast. What can I do for you?
Can I get a large Diet Coke, please?
That be all for you?
Yeah, that's it.
109, second window, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so pretty outside. It's early morning. He just ordered and then took off. Maybe he didn't order? I don't know. Maybe he decided he didn't want whatever he ordered. That's kind of crazy. What'd she say, 109? Oh, I need one more penny.
How you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad.
How much is it?
$2.50, one burrito, and the Dr. Pepper, no ice, right?
No, they drove off.
Oh, they drove off?
Yeah.
You got the large diet?
Yeah, I'm sorry they drove off. How much is it?
A large diet, 109.
Here you go. Here's 9. Do a lot of people drive off?
Yeah.
Do they really?
If whatever they feel like, they want to drive off, that's okay with me. I don't care. They might have realized with last month they didn't have no money.
Yeah, that's true.
Surprised do that.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too, sweetie.
That has happened to me before, actually, quite a few times. And can I just tell you, I always go to the window and I'm like, I feel really bad, but I don't have any money. I totally forgot. Like, I'll forget, I'll walk out the door without this and just run up the street to get something like fast food, and I'll forget my fanny pack and I don't have my wallet, and I'll be like, I can come right back and pay you. And can I just tell you that 9 times out of 10 people will just give you free food, and then I always go back and take money to them because I feel bad. Which of course I should. I purchased it, right? But I think that's like so nice of them that they always are just like, don't even worry about it, here, just take it. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And then I always go back and give them money. I've literally been talking all day and my throat is kind of starting to hurt a little bit. I actually was gonna just vlog for like a half an hour, and now I'm at like what? So 23 and 23 is 46. What did I just say? 23 and 23 is what? 46, did I say that? And then I'm at 14, so 46, 56. I'm right at like an hour right now. Well, I'm probably like an hour and 1 minute because it's like 23 and a half minutes, 23 and a half minutes. And I was only gonna vlog for a half an hour today. I like talking about recovery. It makes me happy, you know? It makes me happy to remember those early days. I think that's why sometimes too, like, I like to watch like recovery movies, because it reminds me of having gone through that and where I, you know, there's actually quite a few people that I've known that get sober and they get really excited in their first year of sobriety. And they're going to meetings all the time, and it's like this new way of living, right? What's the analogy? It's a new pair of glasses. You know, you're seeing the world in a new way, and relationships are improved, and you're meeting new people, and you're talking recovery all the time, and drinking coffee, more coffee than you'd ever want to drink, and you know, life is good, and you don't have to worry about a whole lot. All you have to worry about is staying sober. And then you come up on a year or a little bit after that, and it's like, you know, it's like, well, this is not as exciting as it used to be. And, well, now I'm entering the real, and I'm working full time, and having to save money, and, you know, this and that, and having to really think about real life issues that are not just about sobriety. And, you know, then, oh, I want to start getting into a relationship, and I want to do this, and then people get distracted. And I think often a lot of people go back out. But I think often a lot of people go back out because they miss that early, I think subliminally they miss that first year of sobriety. There is something so magical about that first year. It is so hard. It is so hard, that first year of sobriety. I think it's also like making it through every holiday, every birthday, every Saturday, every Sunday, every Tuesday, you know, every season. You do that for an entire year, and you can no longer at the end of a year use Christmas as an excuse, or your birthday as an excuse, or, you know, summer, or, oh, I love being on the beach, or I love being on a boat. You know, you can't use those things as excuses anymore, you know, because you've probably gone through most life events that are going to happen. You know, in a year, you're going to face some kind of letdown in it, you know? So you faced everything in a year that you could possibly face. And so at the end of the year, it's like, okay, whatever, I realize I can do this. And I think there's some confidence that comes with that. But I also think you know, I have to say that, like, for me, like, years 2 to 3 were really tough for me, because that was when, like, I was living my real life, you know what I mean? And my going to meetings and sobriety was to keep me alive. But my life wasn't centered around that at that time. And I don't know, you know? Like, I feel like today I have an even balance of it. And, I mean, not a perfectly even balance, but more than I've had in my past. There's been times when I have been going to, you know, like when I came back in, 14 meetings a week or something, and, you know, going to 2 meetings a day. And then there was, you know, a time, probably right before I started vlogging on here, that I was going to 6 or 7 meetings a week, and I was really active in service, and I was busy all the time. So, I mean, I think that was when I was vlogging on here, towards the end of that, because I was going to a lot of candlelight meetings and stuff. And I miss it. I miss the meetings. I don't miss so much, and I miss the people, but like I could call the people up, you know, that I was friends with. And I do, I mean, some of them I still talk to. I just talked to my old sponsor the other day, which was really nice. He doesn't even go to candlelights anymore either. I was like, are you still going to such and such? He's like, no. He was like, I'm going to all morning meetings now. And he was actually on his way to like a 6:45 meeting in the evening. He was like, I go to this one 6:45 and then this whatever, but it was a lot, you know, it was, it just was a lot. And I have to remember what I got sober for, you know. Yes, I got sober to continue to participate in a 12-step program, but I also got sober to be a good husband and a good friend, and to be active in my own life. And to do those things, you know, I think maybe I don't need to be at a candlelight 6 or 7 nights a week. You know what I mean? I think I need to be at home sometimes and participate, you know, in my life at home as well. And that was difficult. So, but I also know that had I not done that during that period of of my life, and I hadn't been going to all of that and participated in that and been as active in service as I was then, I would not be here right now. I know that for a fact. I actually was telling him that the other day. Like, I needed to be that structured at that time. I needed that, you know? And it was really, really good for me. And it was good for me to meet like a whole new crew of people. And I met people from all over Indianapolis. And, you know, now I go in places all the time and I'll see people and they'll be like, oh my God, like you used to go to this meeting. At that time I was going to meetings like all over the city. And, it was good, you know, it was really good for me to realize that sobriety is alive and well all over, you know. And I also know now where meetings are all the time, so if I ever want to just like catch a meeting, you know, this eye is driving me crazy. I don't know why. I don't think the eyelash is still in there, but I have my heat on to 74, because earlier it said it was 56, now it says it's 61. It's a good life. Good life. All right, you guys, listen, I'm gonna get off here now. I have like, I'm going on 21 minutes and 57 seconds. So I've got like a minute and a half to get off here. So I'm gonna get off here now and head on home and go to sleep. I hope you guys are having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Enjoy your day. Make the most of it. You're exchanging a day of your life for it. Do something different today. take a risk, do something fun, do something different, do something that's gonna make you happy. And I don't know, do something to give back to others as well. And do some service. And even if it's just a random act of kindness, right? And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and tell yourself how important you are and how valuable you are. And to tell yourself, I love you. You are valuable. It's kind of funny doing it in the car when I do that. Do you guys get that's what I'm doing? I'm looking, you get it, okay. But make sure that you do that every single day. And like I said, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you and how much you love them as well. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Tonight? Well, I did it again. I slept straight through the night. It is currently 6:08 a.m. on Saturday. So this is Friday's vlog. But I feel really rested. So the reason why it's a problem is not so much that I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and filming my vlog, which I'm sure is strange to a lot of people, but it's not strange to me. Actually, I saw my neighbor yesterday, my new neighbor that moved in. She was like, you have kind of crazy hours. And I said, yeah. And she knew that I like make videos for YouTube. And I was explaining to her what I do, and I said, you know, sometimes I like to go to sleep with Alex, and so like I'll go to sleep with Alex, and then I'll wake up and be like, oh my god, I forgot, you know, I still have to go vlog, and so I'll go outside and I'll vlog and whatever. And she was like, that's so much fun that you get to do that. And I was like, yeah, I love it, you know. So anyway, it wouldn't really be a problem today because I would go back home and maybe go back to sleep for a couple hours, although I'm weirdly like awake. And I think the reason is because I literally got 7+ hours of sleep. I slept straight through the night. I mean, I was out. I remember like Alex and he like put his hand across my chest, and we were like talking about today or Saturday, and I turned like, and I was like, good night, babe, love you. And I like turned over and I was out. Like, I don't remember anything after that. And he was on his phone when I told him good night. So it is cold in Indianapolis. It is 30 degrees. Oh, but the reason why, like, it usually wouldn't matter, but today it does, is because today is Carlitos' birthday party, which is at 2 p.m. And I'm meeting Alex there because he has like work stuff he has to do today. And then I got some water before I left. I was so thirsty for water. You know, and of course I want to make videos and stuff, so we've got to figure out a time to do that, because we're apparently going to his birthday party at 2 o'clock. I'm sure that will probably go 2 hours, 3 hours, and then we're supposed to go back over to Carlos and Liliana's for like, to hang out and do like birthday cake or something over there. So it'll end up being this very long deal. Well, I also have my audiobook that I have to listen to. And so my plan had been to really drive around tonight, Saturday night, and listen to like 4 hours of it. That had been my plan, to listen to 4 hours on Saturday night and 4 hours on Friday night, sorry, and 4 hours on Saturday night, and then have the whole thing done. I know there are some people that are like so confused right now, like what day it is and whatever, watching this. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's like Janice Joplin said, it's all the same effing day, man. But you know, like, I was gonna listen to 4 hours on Friday night. I was gonna get my vlog done early, and then, because that's why I laid down at like 10:30 and something like that, and I was gonna lay down from 10:30 to like 11:30, I think is when I set my alarm, and then get up, and I was gonna vlog from like 11:30 to 12:30, and then I was going to listen to my audiobook till like 4:30 in the morning. And then tonight, I was gonna listen to like another 4 hours throughout the day, and then I'd have the book done. Well, now I'm screwed myself because it is the day before the live stream. We may have to move the live stream. I just don't know how I'm possibly gonna get this book done in 24 hours. I don't know. I need to talk to Mel about it today. I mean, it's not like it's a huge ordeal. There's only like 30 people that come to the live stream, which is great. You know, I mean, I've never in a million years thought I'd ever have a book club that had that, you know, 30 to 50 people that attend. Here's my coffee lip balm. There's like 2,000 people that are active, like, well, 2,000 people in the book club. And of course, not everybody reads the book every month, but there's quite a few people that read the book that just don't come to the live stream. I would do the live streams on YouTube since I figured that out. But last time we guested a bunch of people. That water tastes so good. But last time we guested a bunch of people, and I want to be able to do that again, and you cannot do that on YouTube Live anymore. Plus, I can kind of like moderate what's going on a little bit easier. The fact that it's smaller, I don't know, keeps it just a little bit nicer. So, because it doesn't go so fast, you know. So that's supposed to be on Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm gonna have to talk to her today and see what we're gonna do. I don't want to go into it just not having finished the book. I like the book. I just don't know that there's any way that I can possibly get it done. That means I have to listen to 9 hours in 24 hours. I just don't know that there's any possible way that I can get that done. So anyway, but I had kind of planned that on Saturday I wasn't sure that I was going to make videos anyway because of Carlitos' birthday party, and I just kind of wanted to be with family and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just take the day. But on Friday, because I was so busy, I had like all this sobriety stuff to do on Friday. I was like, I had like this commitment in the early evening, and then I was had to meet with a friend of mine in the afternoon. I was like, well, maybe, but I ended up making videos on Friday. So, okay, what did I do? I got up, and like I said, this vlog, did I say this already? This vlog is not going to be super long. It just can't be, you guys, today, because I have too many things. I'm on my way currently, well, I'm in the direction of, whenever I finish vlogging, I'll probably go in there and do it. I'm in the direction of going to get Carlitos' birthday present. Alex already got him something. He got him a bunch of Spider-Man stuff. Apparently when he was at Target. So Alex got off work yesterday and he went over and picked up Sarah, and then they went to Target and he bought Carlitos' birthday present. He was gonna get it from both of us, but I was like, no, I want to get him something too. So when he was there, he FaceTimed Carlitos and like was showing him stuff, and I was like, well, that makes it real exciting for the kids. So he got him like the Spider-Man stuff. He really wants a remote control car, so I think I'm gonna get him a remote control car is what I'm gonna do. People are up and early at Denny's this morning. So yeah, that's the direction I'm going in. But anyway, what was I gonna say? So this is gonna have to be a short vlog today. I got up on Friday and I'm trying to think of what I did. Oh, like I got up and I took the dogs out, gave PP his medication, and then I had to like leave and get out of the house because I had to go meet up with my friend. And so I went and met up with my friend for coffee. And then I had a bunch of errands to run after that. My day seemed to go so quick because I didn't leave there until like 3, and then I had to be at this recovery commitment thing at 5. And so it was like my day went super, super fast. I came home in between, and I filmed. Did I do it afterwards or before? No, I did it afterwards. After, so like I'm just saying it was like an hour long. It's like an hour and a half long. And then I got home about 6:45, and I filmed a video for my Peter Mon channel, and then I filmed a video for my Peterisms channel, and I wanted to do a review video, but I didn't get to it. And not enough hours in the day. That's how I feel. I was thinking about this yesterday because I announced my book and my Peterisms channel so I'm going to start doing this like every month on my Peterisms channel. I'm going to read a book. There's going to be like, it's like kind of like a read along, not necessarily like a book club, but like a read along, self-help and motivational book. And so for November, I'm reading The 4 Agreements, and by Don Miguel Ruiz. I've never read it before. I heard it was fantastic. And, but I was thinking about, you know, like how in my life I've had people like criticize me and be like, you're always starting things, you're always like new ideas, and you sometimes like don't like your ideas never, you know, come to fruition, but a lot of times they do, you know. A lot of my ideas that I've started, like a book club or like a vlog or whatever, have taken on a life of their own, or YouTube. You know, when I started doing YouTube on BookTube, that was like when I was committed to like posting regularly. I never thought, and I mean, I never in a million years thought that it would turn into this, you know, where it literally became my life. I just really had no idea. And that was just 3.5 years ago. So it's crazy how, you know, much your life can change in such a short amount of time. I posted this picture yesterday on my Instagram, and I was like, can't wait to be back. It was like from Miami, and I was like, can't wait to be back in Miami, or be back in Miami next week or something. Will be our second home, hopefully very soon or something. Oh my God, I got so many people from like my personal life that called me and was like, are you moving? Did you not tell us something? Blah, 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 whatever. Like Melissa texted me and she was like, are you moving to Miami? What's going on? I was like, Melissa, we were just at your house last night. Don't you think we would have told you? And, but we have kind of been on the down low looking at houses, and it's been very exciting. We have some areas picked. And we kind of did anyway, that we, like, areas that we were looking at. I would love to be right in South Beach, but that's just not realistic. It's just too expensive. And as much as I like that Brickell area, which is one of the areas that we looked at, I just don't know that we can afford that. Like, I just think, I mean, I just don't want to be house poor for a second home, you know, that we're not going to be in all the time. And it's not really in an area that you could Airbnb it. I mean, you could, but I don't know that. I don't know. And that's not really what I want to do with a place anyway. Like, if I have my own second place, like, I want to have my own second place that I can go to whenever I want. But so anyway, yeah, I don't think I really want to say a whole lot more about that right now. But we are seriously starting to look at some places. The other thing is that we would never move completely from Indianapolis. We would go back and forth. PP had a great day today. he was weird. I don't know if maybe it's the weather and now he's used to it or what, but he woke up today and what is this sandwich called? It says, is it called a Pilgrim? And it's like all turkey. The Pilgrim it is, and it's like, oh, a Thanksgiving feast in every bite, and it's cranberry sauce and turkey and at the Get-Go gas station. They should sponsor my channel, the Get-Go, for me sending people to go eat their Thanksgiving feast sandwich. See, that's like something that sounds good if I wasn't a vegetarian. But like turkey almost sounds worse to me though than a cheeseburger, in all honesty. PB did great today. I think he coughed like once the entire day, and he was super active, and he was running around in the backyard. I don't know if maybe he's just, now it's 34 degrees, that's so weird. Maybe he is just used to the weather. I think what happened was the night before I had felt bad for him because he just seemed so hungry, and he doesn't like that food. So I gave him like a huge plate of Boo and Tucker's food, and he literally ate it down in like 2 seconds. And I think it just made him sick. I think like he was like his little stomach couldn't handle it, and I thought I was doing something right, you know. He just hates that food that he eats. Like he hates it. Like tonight we put it down and he wouldn't eat it. And you know what was so funny was I stood in the kitchen finally and I was like, PB, I was like, that food is perfectly fine. You need to eat your food, PB. And he looked up at me and then he started eating the food. When I stood right there, he ate it. Like ate it. And like not like just nibbled around it, but like he ate it. But then he did that for like 5 minutes and then he looked up at me and he like walked away. And like half the plate was left. I was like, damn it, PB. You know, and our vet had always said, she said, I would rather have a lean dog with a heart disease than a heavy dog with heart disease. So, you know, she's always happy with his weight, but I don't want him to get thin. Like, I don't want him, you know, and PB's never been heavy and he's never been super thin. So, but he's doing much better today. He was running around the backyard and chasing his brothers, and then I had to, like, he's so funny. At one point, like, Boo and Tucker came inside, and I was like, PB! I was like, come on, PB, let's go inside, let's have treats. And he just, like, looked at me. And so I, like, walked inside, and I was, like, doing some other stuff, and I came back out there, because, like, he just walked around the backyard, and I go, PB, I go, come on, we gotta have treats, let's go. And he just, like, stopped and looked at me, and then he kept on, like, sniffing the grass. So I let him keep on walking around. I went back out there like 3 or 4 minutes later. And I go, PB, I go, you better come on. And he just stopped and looked at me and I go, okay, I guess no treats then. And he came like running inside. It was so funny. It's so weird, you know, like Alex said to me yesterday, he said, I'm starting to worry that maybe PP is starting to wind down. You know, that they, because like a lot of what we've read, I need to stay off those articles, but like, my vet always tells me that. She's like, every situation is completely different. Do not read articles about that stuff. But, you know, they'll say, oh, dogs with heart disease start to wind down and they get real lethargic at the end and they lose their appetite. You know, it's like, so I pick, you know, and choose symptoms that PP has and put them all together and basically say, well, it's over, you know. And then I get real worried and real stressed out. And so Alex was like, yesterday, he was like, because PP just didn't seem himself at all. And he was like, I think maybe he's starting to wind down. And Alex got real upset. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. You know, I'm just not. I'm not ready for my life to change that drastically, I guess. And, I mean, we don't have any control, you know, over when pets go. I get so many, you know, comments in the comment sections from you guys. It just breaks my heart for you when you're like, oh, my, you know, I lost my dog today, or, and I always feel so horrible for you guys, you know. And I mean, I know it's a part of what of life, you know, but so anyway, I was worried I was going to wake up and he was going to be 10 times worse than he had been on Thursday, but that wasn't the case. So he was 100% better, and I was very happy about it. And he's doing good this morning, because right before I left, I took them out, and he just leaped off the bed to go outside, and I took him outside, and then I gave him his morning medicine and stuff, so. Anyway, I was singing that Donna song for Alex. I was like, oh, Donna. He was like, I was like, do you know that song? He was like, no. And I'd actually downloaded it like a couple weeks ago, and so I have it like on my iPad, or what do you call it when it's in your phone? Just your iTunes? Is that what you call it? Just your iTunes? I was like, here, I'm gonna play it for you. He was not impressed, and I was standing up and I was like swaying it, and I was using it as like a microphone, and I had a girl and I was a name. But my favorite part of this song, what's my favorite part? Well, it's not till the very end. I didn't realize it till I was listening to the song. It's like the last 30 seconds. So then I was like, do you know Richie Valens? And he was like, didn't he die in a plane? And I go, is that all you know, about Richie Valens? And he goes, well, what do you know? And I go, didn't you see the movie? And he goes, what movie? And then I couldn't remember what the movie was called, you guys, and I had to like look it up. And I couldn't remember it, and I looked up Richie Valens movies. Well, apparently, to my idiocy, Richie Valens was like in a ton of movies, like in the 50s or 60s or whatever, you know, like Elvis was. And so it pulled up all of those movies, and I was like, what was that? And then all of a sudden it pulled up Lou Diamond Phillips' picture, and I was like, yes, Lou Diamond Phillips, that's who it is. And it was La Bamba, and I had totally forgot that it was da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, la-la-la-la-la-la Bamba. So I said to Alex, this is truly what it is like living with me, just so you know. So for you 14 haters that dislike my video every day, this is what it would be like for you all the time. But anyway, I was like, do you know that movie? And he was like, what movie? And I was like, la 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 Bamba. I know I missed or added a few laws in there. But anyway, I hope I got one of my haters to at least smile just a little bit, because y'all are so bitter. But anyway, better! He said, of course I know that movie. I go, well, you don't know Donna. He goes, well, who's Donna? And I go, Donna was his girlfriend in the movie. He goes, he died in a plane accident. I go, I know he died in a plane accident, Alex, but he had a girlfriend, her name was Donna, and he wrote a song for her. Was she his wife or something? I can see her in the movie. Whatever happened to Lou Diamond Phillips? So Alex and I tonight, I got done with my videos. He came home. I did not start my diet today. I'm sure it's a real surprise to people, and I'm real let down over it. But anyway, I was like, well, maybe Monday. Anyway, maybe Monday in June. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? So anyway, I got food, not healthy food either. I got Burger King. And so anyway, and sat there and ate, and he had all this chili, and we watched both episodes, the last 2 episodes of American Horror Story that we hadn't watched. It's so still on the, I was at the end and didn't even know it. It's so still on the lake this morning. But we watched both episodes of American Horror Story that we hadn't seen, and yeah, it was good. I might have gotten Burger King and a Crunchwrap Supreme. a black bean Crunchwrap Supreme. And my husband might have had several bowls of chili and 2 cookies from Melissa's. Look, it was Friday night. Anyway. So, yeah, so we watched American Horror Story. I'm trying to think what the episodes were. They were good. It just doesn't seem very cohesive to me this season. I'll have to say, this is one of the seasons, American Horror Story. It's called 1984 if you're not watching it. And it's basically like modeled after like 80s horror movie, of which you know I love. And like I was really excited about it when it started, and I'm not excited about it now. Like it's okay. Like I enjoy watching it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy having a show together that Alex and I watch. He really doesn't like the season, and but I'm just not that excited about it. I just don't think it's that good. I find myself talking about other stuff. Like we were sitting there, we both love Billy Lords, I think is her name. And so he was like, he said something about her tonight. And I said, I love her. I said, she's fantastic. She was in Scream Queens too. And he was like, she just came out of nowhere. And I said, she's one of the richest women in Hollywood. And he goes, what? And I go, she's one of the richest women in Hollywood. And he said, we have this argument every time, he forgets who she is. And he goes, from doing Scream Queens in this show, no she's not. And I go, her mother was Carrie Fisher, and her grandma was Debbie Reynolds. I don't know why I can always never remember it's Debbie Reynolds. And I said I think she and her brother split the inheritance or something like that. Or she and Carrie Fisher's brother split the inheritance or something like that. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I go, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia from Star Wars. He's like, I know. He was so cute tonight. Alex had all the dogs around him. But then because all the dogs, Boo and Tucker were like right together. It was so cute. But because so he sits down and then he puts a blanket over his lap. And then the dogs like all sit on the blanket around him. But then he thinks that is a reason to have me go get him things. So he was like, I have some sprees in there. But he said they were sweet tarts. He was like, I have some sweet tarts in there. Can you get those for me? And I went in there. And I was like, you mean sprees? He was like, yeah, sprees. Can you give me my sprees? I was like, yeah, sure. Then he was like, can you give me another blanket? Like, is there anything else you want me to do? Because you can't get up. He's like, I have the dogs. He kept on going, I have the dogs. Oh, man. I met a girl. Oh, that's my favorite part where it goes, oh, Jana. But that's at the very end. In case you want to know. It's like literally in the last 30 seconds. We went to a friend's house the other night that's like up the street. And we came from the other way, like down here, coming this way. And I never go down there. Like I always turn around in this church, which is like out in the middle of nowhere anyway. If you live in Indianapolis, I'm in Oaklandon right now, which I have no reason to drive to Oaklandon, right? It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So, but it's like the backside of Geist, which is where I grew up. So if you go down here, there's like a gas station and like strip malls and stuff like that. So we came from that direction and we were going over here, and Alex goes, said something about where, he goes, oh, I know where we are now. He was like, you know, me and so-and-so used to go to lunch over here all the time because Alex used to do a bunch of work stuff over here. And I was like, oh yeah. And all of a sudden we passed this church and I was like, oh, that's that church that I turn around in all the time. It's at 800. The street is 800. Like 800 North or something. I can't see what it says. 800 Northwest or something. And I thought it said Boo on it. I was like, oh my God, it's Boo Street. That's so hilarious. And all of the corn is gone out here. Whenever I tell Alex that, like, I'll be like, oh yeah, I vlog out here. And he'll be like, you vlog out here? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you come out all the way out here and vlog. And I'm like, yeah, where do you think I vlog? Around our neighborhood? Like 200 times or something? I just got the biggest craving for a Dr. Pepper. I don't even know why. Doesn't that sound so good though right now, Dr. Pepper? You're probably like, no. Why would you just randomly think of that? Because I do. It sounds delicious to me. I want to get a bunch of Christmas candles and Christmas stuff. I don't know when I want to put up the Christmas decorations this year. Well, really, it's just my little tree. But I might buy some other things this year and put it up too. But I don't want the house to be too cluttered. Although the other day I said to Alex, did he bring it up or did I bring it up? Because we were talking about getting new sheets. I love that comforter. I love so much. We might need to get like another one in a different color or something, so that when we clean them, we can just put the new one on. But he said, I was thinking about getting some new sheets, and I said, do you want to get another pair of sheets? Because I really liked that brand of jersey sheets I got. And that's what I meant. And he was like, yeah, do you want to get flannel? And I go, flannel? And he was like, I haven't had flannel sheets in forever, but I like flannel looking sheets that are jersey, you know? And he was like, yeah, you know, and because I had said to him, I said to him like a month or two ago, like, could we get some flannel sheets? So I like how they look, and I think they're cute and masculine and stuff. And he was like, yeah, he was like, we can get some flannel sheets. And then the other day he like mentioned it. He was like, are we going to get the flannel sheets? And I was like, well, we can. I can't believe that, like, I don't know what just made me think of this, that like every day of my dad's life, like he's been up for like 2 hours already. Like I know if I went to my dad's house right now, like he would have like read the newspaper, had like his first 2 cups of coffee for the day, and be like completely showered and dressed for the day, even on a Saturday. My dad was never like the type that, like, when he went into work, my dad is a super sharp dresser, and when I was a kid, he went to Chicago and he got his suits from this store called Mark Shale in Chicago, and my dad always wore the coolest suits. Like in the winter, I just remember he had the most beautiful suits, and they were like, you know, all these tweeds, and you know, and then he would have just really pretty ties, and he always just looked like a college professor, you know, at Yale or something like that. And he wears little round rim glasses and stuff. And so anyway, my dad, my dad loves clothes, and he's just, but like those kind of clothes, you know, he's just a sharp dresser. But you know how like some people, like I can remember like when I was talking to Caroline, my cousin Caroline, about her dad, my Uncle Dave, and she would say, you know, Dad every day, no matter what, gets up and he puts on like khakis and like a button-down collared shirt, you know? Well, that is not my dad. That is not my dad. My dad is very much, like he gets up every day and takes a shower. He like gets up, reads the paper. My dad reads like every day, like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, every single day. And drinks his coffee, and then probably reads some other book. My dad's always reading some obscure book about something that you would never, he goes to the bookstore and he buys like, he only reads nonfiction, and he buys like, you know, 5 or 10 books on topics that you have never heard of before about things. He just reads everything random. So when we go and see him, he's always telling us about, you know, something completely random about like, this religious organization, you know, in this island that nobody's ever heard of. Not religious organization, but religious group or whatever, you know, or it'll be about a certain way to like, you know, make tea or some animal that's extinct or something. He's always reading about all these like just really random things. But anyway, but like on the weekends, my dad would get up, you know, and he would showered and ready, but he would always just like in the summer, you know, put on like shorts and a t-shirt. My dad always, so this idea of me collecting t-shirts wherever I go, my dad did it. And it wasn't so much like a thing that he collected. I wouldn't say that he collected them. He just always bought t-shirts wherever he went. So like, you know, my entire childhood was filled with my dad. My dad has worn Patagonia since I can remember. And he always would wear these like grayish or khaki Patagonia shorts that were kind of like mid-thigh, but they were like sailor shorts, because, you know, my dad always was on a boat, and because he had his own sailboat, and then he just was always on sailboats. He did like a lot of like medical missionary work on sailboats and stuff like that. So then he would have a t-shirt on top of it that would say like Honduras or, you know, St. Thomas or something, you know. He had all these t-shirts, mostly from like the Caribbean, that he would wear. And that he would get grabbed in the airport or whatever, or some bar that, you know, like restaurant, like in these places. My dad was like such a cool guy. He, and you know, he was single for a long time too, and he really enjoyed, I think, being single. And I mean, he enjoys being with my stepmom, but I think the time that he was single, he enjoyed it, because he, every winter, it would scare my mom to death. This was after they were separated, but he would go to Banff, Alberta, Canada. I think that's correct. And he would hike in the Canadian Rockies by himself. I have several t-shirts from when I was a kid that said Banff on them, and he did too. But he would hike there when he was a kid, or when I was a kid, by himself. He would go up there for like 2 or 3 weeks. He actually dated this girl for a while that he met up there, and she was from Australia. She was from New Zealand, and she was like one of the editors on the movie The Man from Snowy River. But anyway, she was like a world traveler. That was before like people just had like a backpack and traveled, I remember. He was so excited. She came to like visit. She stayed for an extended period of time, and we like watched that movie, which I don't think I ever really understood. But anyway, and at the very end, her name was in the credits. But my dad, that was when he did a lot of traveling like that. That's when he did like a lot of the medical work, like in Honduras and places like that. My mom would be like, I can't believe that he's taking all these risks. That was when he went to the US Open. So, okay. My dad, so I come from a big tennis family. Like, my family loves tennis. So my dad went to the US Open one year, but he wanted to get like courtside. So he made up these, he bought a huge, my dad loves cameras, he always has. And so he had just bought this brand new Nikon camera, I think it was. And he had this like huge, what do you call it? Like neck thing. It was like this big, you know? And it was like one of these, it was like, this is in the 70s. This was like 78, right? And it was like, it looked like a camera strap, but that was like woven, like hippie woven, you know what I mean? It was very artsy and colorful. And he like grew a beard out so that he looked like just some like random photographer that was like, you know, and then he had these like jean cutoff shorts on, and like he has pictures of himself at his house, like, okay, and like these huge tube socks pulled up, and then he had on like just some t-shirt that said like St. Thomas or something on it, and he went with this huge camera, and he literally, I mean, this is back in the day, like today you couldn't do it probably, you know, but he made this like I can't, like Sports Illustrated or something like that, he made a press pass and laminated it. He laminated it and everything. And he went there and got courtside and literally got pictures of these guys courtside and at the US Open in New York City. And has pictures of him, like, you know, down on one, like, you know, knee like this, like taking pictures and stuff that people took of him. That's so funny that my dad did that. My dad is somebody that is like totally unafraid. Like he is unafraid and really, and we talk a lot about this word unbothered. Like he is really unbothered. Like it's funny how it has changed for him though over time. Like when I was younger, you know, like he would get really incensed is not really the word, but like, you know, if you told him something, he would get kind of heated about it. Not really heated, but like, okay, this isn't okay, and blah, blah, blah. He just isn't like that today. Like, if you tell him something, you know, he's just like, he just kind of laughs, you know, he's like, okay, you know, like, he just doesn't give things any time or energy that he doesn't care about. If that makes sense. Like, he loves his dog, he loves my stepmom, he loves me, he loves Alex, he loves the house, he loves being on the water, he loves his work. Other than that, he loves to read, he loves to travel. Other than that, he doesn't pay it a whole lot of attention. He just doesn't, you know? My jaw is hurting, I don't know why. Boo Radley is always the last dog to wake up, usually. Well, Pee-Pee has been the last couple days, but Boo Radley usually is. And Tucker's always the first one to wake up. But tonight, Boo Radley, I had to wake him up to take them outside. And Boo Radley was crying while he was dreaming. He was like, you know, running in his sleep. And he was like, Well, it was so cute. What do you think dogs dream of? You think they just dream of like running outside or chasing birds or eating snacks? Or when you think about the fact that like our dogs or cats or pets or whatever, they know us and they kind of recognize probably some people on the street or friends or family that we have that come by, and that's the limitation of their world, you know? Although, like, as much as dogs seem to understand, I really think they understand a lot more than we give them credit for. I also think that dogs watch TV. I don't think they understand it, but I think they actually can see images. Like, I was reading something and it said a long time ago, and it said that dogs can't see like the images that are on a TV. And then I read something recently. Is that a new strip mall? What is that? What is that? Oh, I've got to go see what this is. Is this a Tide Cleaners drive-thru? What is that? I want to go there. I might have to try that for my review channel. But, then I read something recently and it said that dogs do know what is, this is like a brand new thing. It's kind of back here, kind of hard to get to though. That they do know, like when they're watching TV, what they're seeing. Which is funny because like our dogs watch TV. Boo Radley has no clue what's on that TV. But Pee-Pee kind of watches it and he kind of goes like this and watches it, you know? Tide Cleaners. I don't get it. Drive-through entrance. Do you think it's like you drop your clothes off? It's gotta be. I'm gonna look it up. Because I want to know. I want to know if she really loves me. Oh my God, they're everywhere. Dry cleaning and laundry. Wash and fold. Tide Cleaners planning to open 5 indie area franchises. Why can't I get to the article? I don't want to leave a comment. It says you must be logged in to leave a comment. I don't care to be I don't care. I just want to read the article. What's the problem? Tide Cleaners provides personalized washing, folding, dry cleaning, and alterations. The future of laundry care, brought to you by America's #1 trusted brand. What are people going back to all of that? Like, oh, there's a little dog park in there. How cute is that by that apartment complex? But I will tell you what's funny is, it seems like it was so long ago that we didn't have a washer and dryer. Do you remember that period of time that we didn't have a washer and dryer? And we had to go to the laundromat, which I quite frankly loved going to the laundromat. Nowadays, it seems like, well, I don't right now, because our washer and dryer is so fast that, like, I put a load of wash in, and then I get it done, and then that's it. But it seems like I do a load of wash, like, every single day. I do something. Whether it's towels and linens. Actually, I need to do towels. We have so many towels, though. We don't have so many towels to clean. We have so many towels, period. So, like, we clean them, and then we put them, you know, away. And then we have more towels that we bring out, because we always buy towels. It seems like whenever there's like a sale, like on nice towels, like, well, Alex is good about that, about buying towels. I usually buy like the bedding, and he buys towels. So yeah. But I used to like always, like, once we got the washer and dryer, I would always have something in the washer or the dryer, and, you know, be like running it. I don't so much. I wonder if that place is open, that Rise place. It's interesting to me that a lot of these like brunch places are not open at 5 till 7 on Saturday morning. I'm really kind of surprised by that. I think Patachou's open by now. It's at the end and I didn't know it. I said this was going to be short, and look, it ended up being long. I'm awake now. I don't think that I'm going to be able to go back to bed, which is fine, because then I can just make my videos for the day that I want to make and stuff. But, part of the problem is I don't know what I'm going to make my videos about just yet. Well, I could drive around and listen to my audiobook. God knows I need to do that, so. What is with all this crazy construction? Anyway, I think I'm gonna get off here now and just make this a little bit shorter, and I'll try to vlog longer tomorrow, you guys. Oh my God, this huge detour. What does it say? I'm gonna go this way, because I don't know how to go that way around. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here now, and listen to, I guess, my audiobook. I wanna get a Dr. Pepper. And I've gotta go, oh, I've gotta buy Carlitos' birthday present. I still have to go do that. So anyway, I'm gonna go to the Meijer and do that. I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Enjoy your day, make the most of it. Do something today. Are you kidding me? This road is closed too. I feel like I'm stuck in a Twilight Zone. Anyway, do something today, road closed to through traffic. Do something today that that you're gonna look back on and be proud of, or happy that you did. You're exchanging a day of your life for it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And make sure that you look in yourself in the mirror. Back up. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say to yourself, I love you, you are valuable, you are important. Important. And you allow yourself to know your own self-value and your own self-worth. You gotta start telling ourselves that on a daily basis. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know that they are important to you. Live your life with compassion, love, and kindness. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!